Hello, Kansas City.
And we also have Justice Johnson in the studio. Justice is a volunteer who's working with us on Jaws of Justice right now. Christopher, you reached out to KKFI and wanted to talk about a documentary that you're making. And tell us
Yes.
about that.
Yes, so I have a documentary on the way. It is based on a true story, and I am from Kansas City, Kansas, and I ended up getting into a relationship, long distance, and this was international. She actually lived in Canada, and I lived in the US. She flew to America to stay with me after about a year and a half of online dating. And long story short, when I flew back to Canada with her, they detained me and took my passport. And they sent me into international remand. I actually went to Edmonton Remand Center. So this documentary is based off of this true story, this story of gold.
Well, I'm very sorry for this experience that you had. So I'm going to map this out. You're a young, very busy business person living in Kansas City, and you're a very modern business person to me, too. You spend a lot of time online, wouldn't you agree?
Yes, ma'am.
Instagram, and I don't know what all the channels that you use of social media.
Yep, TikTok, Twitter, the website, yeah, the whole nine yards. I'm kind of everywhere.
Okay, so you met this woman how and when?
Yeah, so I met her on an app. It's a live streaming app called Live Me,
Mhm. Say no
LIVEME.
more. Yeah, I'm tracking.
Okay,
Yeah, okay.
okay,
All right.
sorry, Live Me.
So
Okay,
and so
yeah,
that that tells me you were interested in a relationship. That's what I like about dating media apps is that one should believe that both parties are interested in a relationship because otherwise, why would they be on that website?
yeah. So I mean, there's ways to, quote unquote, make money from these sites and all that good stuff. So I mean, I wasn't necessarily looking for a relationship when I signed up, but it happened, and that got my passport held over my head.
Okay, well, now you're jumping ahead. The passport is way on down the line. So you meet a woman on
Yes.
Live Me and you're talking using all the social media channels. And then you go to visit her, or let me get this correct. She came to visit you.
Yes.
And immediately went back to Canada, and you went too because this seemed a good relationship to you, correct?
Yes.
You loved her.
Oh, I love this woman to absolute death. And yes, that's why I'm here now.
All right,
Yes.
now then, this is a relationship that did not go fast. Distance is not that amenable for romantic relationships. But by now, you and she had been romantically involved for a period of a year. Am I making this up, Christopher?
Oh no, yeah, it was a little more than a year. We dated for 13 months and then we split up for a few months. And after these few months of being split up, she showed up in my country just pretty much out of nowhere. No, hey, I'm gonna arrive at this time or this date. She just showed up after months of being broke up.
Um, okay, that's curious.
Yes.
That would be a curious event, but you were happy to see her. And
Yes, I mean,
she
yeah,
didn't show up
after
for
that.
long, correct? She was only here for a very few days.
Yes, under a week. Yes, I want to say it was 5 or 6 days before she, asked me, "Hey, can you come to Canada to meet my family?" Yes,
And so you went, and that was in July
yes, July. Yep,
of last year, 2025.
yep, that is correct.
And so now, then, tell our listeners a little bit more about yourself. I've explained your professional career, but I think it's important to add at this point that you have a disability, correct?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, I'm actually legally blind. I'm one eye fully down, so my left eye is actually removed from my face, and my right eye, I've only got a very, very small percentage of eyesight. So yes, when I flew to Canada, she guided me the entire way.
And did she pick you up at the airport?
When she arrived in America, she stayed with me for a few days. We flew out, and I flew, to Canada with her. So then we landed in Canada. We find her Jeep, and then we drive to her house. Um,
And how long did you stay there?
I got, I want to say 3 days. I think it was the third day, the third night, is when everything started, and that's when everything kind of twisted. 3 days.
Well, explain to our listeners what twisted. Not that people haven't been in domestic relationships, but so you were sound asleep. Am I making this up?
Nope. I was sound asleep, and it was 5 a.m. The sound of her alarm going off, basically, it was connected to a Bluetooth speaker. And now there was a lot of bass, so it was doo 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 doo. And the first thing I thought is like, wow, that is loud. Well, as I'm thinking this, I'm being woke up to this woman basically grabbing my arms, shaking me. Yeah, there was a good amount of shaking, and just the thing that she was mad over was she thought I took her cell phone. That's what started all of this.
That's understandable to me to be excited. Wouldn't you be excited if you thought someone took your cell phone?
Yeah, no, she was angry.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So yeah, and I didn't have her cell phone. That was the craziest part. I said, Haley, I don't have your cell phone. That's that. And next thing you know, yeah, that was the first kind of twist that was like, okay, so you don't trust me enough to believe me, but I don't have your cell phone. And she ended up finding it. I never had touched her phone.
Well, what happened from that? Did she call the authorities then when
She had her father call.
was he
So
there? What does her
no.
does she okay. So she called
Yeah.
her father.
Yes, she left where we were, in person, and she drove to her father's. It was about 40 minutes away, and her father called the police, and then the first thing her father said was, I was a witness. Now, he was 40 minutes away. So that, I think that's where the first turn in the whole thing went. There was never a witness. It was
Well,
just me and her.
he was a witness to a purported assault.
That's what he claimed, yes.
Okay, so what was involved with this assault?
So the assault was based off of, in my case, it was based off of a pinky toe. That was the claimed alleged assault, that her pinky toe may have been broken.
And he wasn't there.
Oh, he was not there. He just heard whatever she told him, and he ran with it. And there was other things that he alleged that obviously were proven in court that were never done by myself. And I don't know if she she, relayed that to him as a lie, or if he just did that himself. But yes, there were many allegations, but the main was a broken toe, and it was never broken, fractured, nor bruised. Um,
Oh, there was no medical evidence to support an assault. And
yeah,
and then
yes,
I guess the phone, the alleged stolen property. But did she have her phone
yes.
back by the time it went to court?
Yeah, yes. And so, yeah, she had two medical doctors while I was locked up in Edmonton Remand Center. She had two doctors look at her. The first one came back and they said it's a negative. She's never been touched at all. There was no fracture, bruise, nor break. Um, and that's that. Well, she said, I want a second opinion. So they sent me back to my cell, and there was a second opinion. 3 weeks later, I go into court, and same thing. Nothing from the medical doctor that's, a red flag. There was nothing wrong.
Okay, so
So,
this at this point you're in Edmonton, which is a remand center. It's an international
yep.
remand center. This is where the Canadians put foreign-born offenders awaiting trial.
Uh,
So you hadn't been to trial. How many days were you in Edmonton?
so when they detained me on July 20th, I was detained for 24 hours and held in a holding facility until July 21st. And then they transferred me to Edmonton Remand Center after I had went into court for my hearing for bail, and they said if you make bail, you are homeless on the streets of Canada until trial. If you don't make bail, you're going to Edmonton remand. And I said, well, if I pay my bail, I get my passport taken, correct? And they're like, yes. And I said, well, you're not taking my passport, so I guess sign me up for ERC. And
And what was that like?
oh wow, um, ERC was unimaginable. You see the stories online, you see the media about it, and you hear of like movies, like Orange is the New Black, certain jail movies that it all clicked when I was in there. It's like, wow, this is real. Being legally blind and the only American in the entire facility of 3,000 inmates. They called me Captain America the moment I walked in, and I was an instant target. It was very, very chilling, a chilling experience. 23-hour lockdown, a lot of confinement. They strip you from everything. They take your fingernail clippers. You don't get a razor to shave your face. You get stripped of absolute everything in life. And no accommodations for being blind either. I can say that.
Okay, well, you didn't feel that you were guilty of anything, nor have you been charged with anything, right? You were being held awaiting trial to
Yes, ma'am.
determine if you were guilty. There was a complaint against you, and this complaint was what?
Yeah, so when they arrested me, when her father called, I had 5 charges, and one of those charges was the common assault with bodily harm, which later in my case ended up getting thrown out because it was proven in court that this girl never had a broken toe. Um, so yeah, that was one of the charges. I also had a mischief charge, a regular common assault, like without the bodily harm, which they later threw out. And what was my other one? I want to say I had like a charge of intimidation. Um, I guess a Canadian thing. Um, but yeah, like I said, most of these charges were after 2 months of being in Edmonton Remand Center. So I spent 56 days in ERC, one in the holding cell, 56 in ERC. So 57 days before I basically pled to a mischief to get out, before I got deported.
Right, because you had limitations on how long you could stay. Is that true? Traveling to
Yes.
Canada? Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Yes, I had to get all of that approved before, I could even get through. And even at the airports, when I arrived in Canada, they did a very, very extensive search on me. And at that given moment, I wondered, why are they treating me like this? And she looked at me and said, I love you and everything's going to be okay. Not knowing that, I didn't realize what I was getting myself into until it was too late. Um,
Well, it's a very interesting story, Christopher, and not unlike other stories that we have on Jaws of Justice, where people are held by the authorities and feel innocent of what they're being accused of, awaiting a trial. They will plead to a lesser offense for many personal reasons. They have a job, they have pets, they have family, they have car payments. And so then they have a guilty plea. And I gather you're lucky. I feel curious saying you're lucky. But, but mischief isn't something they could put you in prison for, apparently.
right, right. Yeah, it was a 50 in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. It was 56 days time served for a mischief charge, which basically I took to again get out and not be deported. And I needed an eye surgery really bad. When I was actually booked, I couldn't see at all. They had to guide me. All the correctional officers had to guide me. The police had to help me find my shoes to put on. A lot of the guys laughed at me. It was miserable. It was miserable. And thankfully I'm free. I'm here, and yes, we're trucking.
Well, you're back in Kansas City, and so what are you doing with this? You were back home by what date? This was September
Yes.
of 2025, or
Yep. Once they released me, I had 72 hours to go give my fingerprints and my DNA, my blood samples, to Edmonton, Alberta. And then once I was done with that, they basically released my passport and told me, hey, you can go back to your country. Um,
and
so I stayed,
that was September of 2025.
yes. Yep.
And so
Yep.
back here now, you have determined you're going to make a documentary of this experience.
Yes.
And
Yes. There's
so
a trailer out now.
right, and the
Um,
trailer is out on YouTube and on Instagram. How does it? How do you go?
yes.
How does a person access that?
So there's many different ways. So on my Instagram or my website, standish913.com, or at Are We in Jail on Instagram, or just at Standish913 on Instagram. Everything's in my bio. I also have a book. So it all started with an ebook, and this ebook did really good in numbers, and I actually had Gordon Ramsay's Hell's Kitchen team purchasing my ebook. So that's what motivated me to say, you know what, we're going to do a movie. And Run DMC actually put in my ear when I got home that I should do a TV series. So I've had a lot of big names really latch onto this. And the trailer that's up now on YouTube is actually funded by the Hell's Kitchen chefs. I do PR and interviews for those guys. So,
That's very interesting. I had seen your reference to Hell's Kitchen, and I didn't associate it with Gordon Ramsay, and he's a great social media talker and a fairly
yes,
common sense person, right? And then
yes,
the group of Run DMC. So that's exciting for you. I'm sorry for all your trouble, but
yes.
good on you for making a positive experience out of a bad thing. That's good.
Yeah, Thank you so much. And I do want to say huge shout out to DMC from Run DMC. He actually posted KKFI on Instagram. So if you go to at King, like KING, DMC, that is DMC of Run DMC. And yes, he's backed KKFI with the Are We on the Radio? So he fluently promotes all of my projects. Really amazing guy. I met him 17 years ago, and I'm just very, very thankful for him after such an exhausting time to be doing the things that he is doing for me.
Well, Jaws of Justice is a largely criminal justice issues show. And we have a long history of doing wrongful incarcerations and also the problems of our criminal justice system. So if you would like to be back on Jaws of Justice, or if you would like to have one of your clients be on Jaws of Justice, I do hope you'll contact us again. That would be great.
Okay, yes, definitely. Yeah, I mean, there's so much more to talk about. And I really appreciate you guys for at least giving me the chance. I've done everything from the merchandise to the vlog to the movie to the trailer to I mean, it has been crazy. A whole soundtrack. I also have my own written soundtrack that I'm putting in the documentary. So I'm trying to be as creative as possible and turn such a bad experience into something great.
Well, good on you. I'm Terry Wilkie. You're listening to Jaws of Justice, and I've been talking with Christopher J. Standish Jr., and you can find his whole story by simply Googling Christopher Standish, and you can't find the movie. The movie is an ongoing project, but I want to thank you for being on Jaws of Justice.
Yes, thank you so much. And they can also be a part, the links in the bio.
All right.
So I wanted to say that.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Christopher.
Thank you so much, Jerry.
It's the 420 Drug War News. In my old age, I find it interesting